Welcome back. I-24 News Morning Edition on this December 31st, 2015. It's the last day of the year that was, and it's a reason for me to sit in studio with Ami Kaufman.
Oh,
I know, shucks, right? The one, the only, the man who joined us this year and has done such a fabulous job on it. And one of the reasons you've done such a fabulous job on it is because you're also a U.S. aficionado. But this segment, this end bit of the show, okay, we're going to take a look at what we think the stories will be. And also, folks, we're going to take a glimpse into the murky mystery soup that is the year ahead of us, because here comes 2016. And to speculate, we're not just joined by Ami Kaufman, but we have a surprise for you. So, if we can go live straight out to the special journey and see if we're already out there, right under our studio, in the waters of the Jaffa Port. I have no idea. We're going to start with Ami.
We're going to start, okay.
Yes.
Well, I think one of the biggest stories, I think you'll agree with me, the biggest stories of 2016 is going to be the U.S. elections, the presidential election that will happen in November. It's still it's under a year away, but wow, it has been dominating the news cycle of the second half of 2015.
I think as journalists, we want to thank the story.
We're going to thank the story. We want to thank particularly one person. You say it. You say it.
Donald
Trump. Here's the Donald.
Donald Trump. The journalists of the world want to thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Donald Trump. Yeah, but before we take a sip, and before we start our prediction of what will be the big story of 2016, here's the wrap of where we think it's leading of American politics and the U.S. elections. Let's take a look.
Overnight, Donald Trump opening up the doors to his private plane, Trump Force One.
Try not to crash the woodwork if possible. Watch the ceiling, please.
And opening up the attacks on Hillary Clinton.
She's got a major problem. Happens to be right in her house.
The GOP frontrunner has the gloves off when it comes to her husband, too.
We're going to go right after the president, the ex-president, and we'll see how it all comes out. And I feel very confident that it'll come out very well for us.
And now Trump is naming names. The first candidate to drop the M word in the 2016 race for the White House.
But there was certainly a lot of abuse of women, and you look at whether it's Monica Lewinsky or Paula Jones or many of them.
On the campaign trail in New Hampshire, Hillary Clinton not even uttering her rival's name.
You see, I happen to think America is great.
And refusing to answer any questions about him. How quickly things change in an election year. The Trumps and Clintons go way back, from the golf course to that wedding. But the brash billionaire now says that invitation was a business move.
As a world-class businessman, and as, frankly, a businessman, you have to get along with everybody.
And even though he wrote in 2008 that Hillary Clinton would make a great president or vice president, before a crowd of thousands in Iowa overnight, Trump sang a different tune.
Believe me, women, if it's got to be a woman, which I'm all in favor of someday, it shouldn't be Hillary. It shouldn't be Hillary. It shouldn't be Hillary.
It shouldn't be Hillary. It shouldn't be Hillary. Wow, look at that.
You just want to imitate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But no, it's the reason to say that. Well, first of all, I find that campaign so incredibly grateful towards journalists, so to speak, because it's giving us so much material to discuss. But also, it's gotten so out of hand that I think I saw yesterday that Donald Trump is now resurfacing or like bringing up again the Clinton-Lewinsky affair. As part of the,
some people might say that's a mistake. It might backfire because polls, and other presidential campaigns have shown
has backfired for him.
But polls show that tactic usually does not work because the American people are actually tired of that. They do not want to hear that much anymore about it. For them, it's an old story. They've been through it a million times already. And in the 90s, it was enough. In the early 2000s, was enough. People are tired of it. They really don't want to hear about it. It might backfire. I don't know if Trump is very smart doing that.
I will venture and say that every time we think something will backfire on him, such as was his Muslim ban line.
Also true.
That gave another rise in the polls. But
which is why nobody can predict this campaign. Do you agree with me? I mean, which is why I also feel comfortable saying anyone can win. I don't have a problem saying Trump will be the nominee or Hillary's going to take it easy, because the biggest pollsters, the biggest pundits, they are all eating their hats in 2015 because they were all wrong. They were wrong about Donald Trump. They were wrong about Bernie Sanders as well. They also thought that he wasn't going to be so strong and last so long. They thought he was going to drop out a lot earlier.
Thank you. He's still in the game?
He's still in the game. He's not going to... If I can predict, he's not going to take it. There's no way. You know what? Let's start with the Democrats for a few seconds. Because on the Democratic side, things are a lot more simple. Look, Clinton is leading nationally in the polls by more than double digits. The national polls is leading like 30% over Bernie Sanders. When it comes to states like Iowa and New Hampshire, he's actually leading Iowa. He's very close behind. He might even take her. So he could take Iowa. He could take New Hampshire. But when he gets to South Carolina,
I was
a
about to
racially
say.
diverse state, things are going to, he's losing there by about 40 points. You cannot win the Democratic nomination without the support of the minorities, of the Latinos, and the blacks. And Sanders has a problem with that. He is trying to amend that, but he has not fixed it. I have not seen any amend to that in the polls.
And Clinton is very strong on that
Clinton is very strong.
She's very strong.
It's also very important to
Carolina.
remember that she has the endorsement primaries behind her. She has the Democratic establishment behind her. Bernie has nothing. But just to finish up with the Democrats, the best thing about Bernie Sanders, I think, is that we get to see Larry David impressions. Thank God for that. I hope he gives us more and more material for Larry David on Saturday Night Live.
Speak like a true Yid. He's like everybody's uncle.
Yes,
really
exactly.
He's like everybody's uncle.
Everybody's Jewish uncle.
Jewish uncle is sitting there like, oh, come on. Yeah, okay.
The GOP. Still very complicated. Still a huge field. 5 people have dropped out, but there are still, going into 2016, 12 people running for president in the GOP field. That, for me, is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is still strong in the polls, because the voters are still spread out between so many people, which is not giving a chance to some of the stronger guys to pose a real challenge.
A real challenge,
for,
but he's also leading by a huge margin.
He is leading by a massive margin.
Forget that.
Now,
and you can't take that lightly.
Exactly.
Anymore.
Before we get to the candidacy, the GOP, I think, is in a really serious problem. They're really missing out on a real opportunity here. America is becoming less white, is becoming more progressive. Democrats have won 5 out of the 6 last popular votes. They haven't always taken the Electoral College, but they've won the popular votes 5 out of 6 times, and that will translate into electoral votes in the future.
Definitely.
The Democrats understand that, but the GOP does not understand that if you think that the way you see Trump is leading in the polls. They're going the totally wrong direction. Trump is building his rhetoric on fear and hate tactics, and you know what? He understands his base.
Sadly, it's selling.
It's selling, and right.
Yeah.
Cruz, I think if I could predict Cruz, we're probably going to see him get stronger, and especially in these first polling states like Iowa and New Hampshire. He is probably the most organized candidate on the ground, with staff, with headquarters, with volunteers. His numbers are on the rise, and I think we're going to see him get stronger. Rubio, probably the most promising establishment candidate.
Exactly, or second, like new generation one.
Exactly.
Could say for the
He
GOP.
is young.
Right.
He's articulate. He's good looking. He's well on, good on camera.
Yeah.
People say that he could really pose a threat to Hillary Clinton
If he clinches that one.
Right. If eventually Donald Trump and Cruz start to drop. And for me, I guess the saddest story, Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
The man who has, on the one hand, spent more money than pretty much everyone combined, still in the single digits, Yael. He is not managing to rise up, not in any debate. The man just doesn't have that oomph. He doesn't have that presidential quality. I cannot see that changing in 2016.
And we're living in an era, you can't help it, that you have to be good on camera.
You have to
become a leader.
Right.
And that's and in many ways I think that's the tragedy of Jeb Bush. He's just not that good on camera.
He isn't.
Ami, you are staying with me because